Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ascended Masters 101. This is where we talk all about the teachings of the Ascended Masters. It's an incredible topic. I am so in love with it. It's an amazing path. If you're new to it, congratulations. It is awesome. We are in the middle of an interview project of interviewing students of the Ascended Masters about their experience on the path. What is it like to be a student of the Ascended Masters, a Chela of the Ascended Masters? And what are some of the insights and lessons learned along the way that you would be willing to share with the rest of us? And I have loved being a part of this project. I've learned so much. I've heard so many awesome stories. And this is one of my favorite questions because it again pulls out those incredible stories that help us feel like what it was like to be close to the messengers as these dictations were being brought forth. And I really love the answers to these questions. And so the question for this video is, if you have had a meaningful interaction with Mark or Mother or both that you feel comfortable sharing, what was it? And the answers are so cool. Some of them make you laugh. Some of them make you really think. Some of them just really touch you in the heart. And so I am so excited to share this with you in this video. These stories are really important, I think, to capture what it was like to be close to the messengers. And of course, Mark and Mother are Mark Prophet and Elizabeth Clare Prophet, the two messengers of the Ascended Masters. They bring forth the messages of the Ascended Masters through the agency of the Holy Spirit through what are called dictations. And those are all topics for other videos. I know I just touched on a lot of new things right there, but they are incredible people, amazing souls, and I feel so honored to even be associated with them through people who have known them. I didn't know Mark personally, but I knew Mother. I have just two memories of her that I still remember, and they were both phenomenal. And maybe in another video I'll share those stories. But these are about meaningful interactions that people have had with Mark and Mother. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I do, and let's jump in.
Mrs. Prophet used to make visits to the Minneapolis Community Teaching Center area, and that's a church building or where people come together to study the teachings of the Ascended Masters. And I was growing up in that area as a little girl. And during one of Mrs. Prophet's visits, I remember in the chapel, the children were invited to come forward one at a time with their parents to ask Mother or Mrs. Prophet a question. And I was about 6 years old at the time. I really liked pretty princessy kind of things. So when I got to the front of the line and I was standing in front of Mrs. Prophet, I was so enamored by these dazzling, colorful rings that she would wear. And so my question was, why do you wear those rings on your fingers? And I think she explained to me how they help hold the light of God within them. They help anchor the light in the earth. So that was one very special memory that I have of her.
I think it's incredible that there were two messengers that are contemporaries, but of myself, that I didn't know them. Like we were alive at the same time, and I didn't know them at that time because I found out about the teachings of the Ascended Masters after they had already made their ascension. And so with that said, I think one of the first things I want to say to them if they were here right now, and I believe in my heart that they are, but that is thank you, thank you, thank you. Because it takes a lot to dedicate your entire life to getting out all this information, all the publications, all the work they've done, all the service, all the love, the organization itself. It's all over the world. Like how much love that took. Two words, thank you.
And I had another, just a very short interaction with Mother when she was giving some kind of a blessing. And we were supposed to go up and state who we thought our sponsoring master was. And of course, I'm new to the teachings. I don't even know the Ascended Masters, who they might be. And I told her that. And she looked at me and she said, "It's Holy Amethyst. And be sure and always say holy."
I first met Mother at the Royal Teton Ranch when I came to Summit University. And I think it was the third day into our class that we were invited to have tea with Mother. And I was sitting about 3 tables away from her. At one point, she looked straight at me, and she sent this ray of light and love from her heart to my heart. And it was so tangible, so physical, that it stayed with me. It has stayed with me through all these years that I've been in the teachings.
There was a time when I was working on really facing this unreal part of myself that we call the dweller. It was feeling a sense of, I guess, injustice or just something that wasn't quite right. It's something I had been working on for quite some time. And I happened to be driving, and I had this kind of a vision of outside of me of this black vapor mist kind of a substance. And I knew I just had this strong feeling that it was this dweller that I was working on. I started giving some decrees that we have called the dweller calls. And I just kept giving them and giving them as intensely as I could, considering the fact that I was driving. And as I was giving these decrees, I could see this vapor mist just kind of dissolve. And pretty soon it was gone. And I felt that it truly was gone. I felt it gone inside of me. I felt the feeling of it being gone, but I had never had an experience like that before. So I wrote a letter to Mother describing what I just described here, saying I never had anything like this. So I wasn't sure if it was real. And she called me one day and she wanted to verify that, yes, it really was real. And the teaching she wanted to give is that the dweller really can be attacked and focused and gotten rid of that quickly. And when we do go after it and we go after those unreal part of ourselves and we really are serious about it, that an individual can that quickly become a candidate for the ascension.
In 1985, when I came to the North Ranch, I realized the vastness of that property. The North Ranch was 17,000 acres, and I recently did the math, and that's 23 square miles. That's a lot of property. And as an equipment operator, I knew that I was potentially going to be all over that property with equipment. And the one thing with equipment is it sometimes fails and sometimes doesn't work. And so I made an intense call to Lanello at that time. When I go far away, and the distance from one end of the ranch was 5 miles. So if you run into trouble at one end of the ranch and you didn't have a radio, which most of us had radios, but if you didn't have a radio, you had to go for a long walk. So I made a deal with Lanello. I said, Lanello, I want to arrange it so that if I break down, it'll be convenient. And in the 11 years that I was on staff, I never broke down in an area that was not convenient because equipment just breaks down. So Lanello facilitated that assistance to me by giving me the grace that I didn't have to go for a really long walk and waste a whole lot of time. And oftentimes, equipment broke down just before I left the shop. That's the perfect place to break down because then you just fix it and then you take off. That's my Lanello story, and it worked for me for I'm going to say for 11 years and for the rest of my staff life. And my second one is about Mother, and it's something that I will think about for the rest of my life. But I was with Mother privately. Seth was there and Mother was there, and I wasn't even aware that this was a dispensation, but Mother would then ask you, do you have anything to ask me? And I should have asked her something, but I didn't. And it still keeps me close to Mother, thinking of what I might have asked her or what I might have said to her. And those are the two memories that I have that I want to share.
Well, I think the most important thing that has happened to me in life was having met Mark Prophet at the Four Winds Organic Center. And then he introduced me to his wife, Elizabeth, our beloved Guru Ma. And it wasn't long after that that Mark, that was in 1972, and of course, Mark ascended in 1973. And so I kind of got passed off to Mother, and Mother took me under her wings, and she loved me like a brother and does to this day.
Most meaningful experiences with Mother was the work I did with her in the book Nurturing Your Baby's Soul. And we had a campus in California called Camelot. And I remember one late evening when it was very quiet on the campus, and I was with Mother working in her office. And we were just having a quiet, intimate time going over these precious teachings on the science of motherhood for the new age, a book for mothers and fathers in bringing forth their children, according to the Acended Master Teachings. And it was the intimacy and the quietness of being together and having that experience with her that was so touching. I have just a couple of other stories, but they're short. And one was just, I worked very hard one time on a lecture on child health that she was giving here in Montana. And I remember coming to the lecture and sitting in the front row. And I remember she came out and she had this beautiful green um, suit on. And she looked over at me and she just gave me the greatest, most beautiful smile. And I was just so touched by that.
I've not had a direct interaction with them because I only found the teachings after they had both transitioned. But I do feel a connection with Mother. I felt that connection ever since I read her books and heard her dictations. And strangely enough, when I go to the court, and there's the picture of her here there. When I look at it, I feel as if she's looking directly at me, making direct contact with me, and saying to me, "What took you so long?"